Welcome back, guys. We are driving to the gym once again, and I did not have the best night's sleep last night. I went to bed, and my neck was hurting a little bit, but then throughout the night, I just kept waking up, and it was hurting no matter what position I was laying in, and that was annoying. But I woke up, same time I always do, was just a little bit more tired. It's not like I spent the whole night laying in bed awake. I would still, fall back asleep fairly quickly. It was just like a lower quality sleep. And seriously, like every time I woke up that night, I had to move and figure out how to get comfortable. And I tried moving more than one pillow under my head and seeing what I could do, but nothing was working. So it was a rough night, but we're here today. We did some good work today. And I've got to say, I love manual labor. I don't know if that's common, if all guys love it, but if it's something stupid that's not improving my life at all, then I don't really enjoy it that much. But if it's something that I'm working on that I'm going to get to use later, I just find it really fun to work on. And, it's kind of like an exercise while you're doing it too. So there's an upside there. But what I was just doing today was I was starting to dig a trench that we're going to eventually fill in with some gravel and then put some stones in kind of like as a retaining wall. And we're going to build that up. And this is eventually going to be the retaining wall that holds up what will become a patio right outside of the house. And we initially had a deck that was in this area, and the deck had gotten way too old. We had to get rid of it. And we were going to rebuild it. Maybe I've even talked about this before on camera. I think I have, but we were going to rebuild it. Realized we didn't have the know-how to build a deck that was sturdy, that would actually hold up, for years. And so instead, we figured, all right, it'll be a lot simpler to just lay down a little wall, throw some dirt behind it, and put some stones on top of that. That seems a lot more sturdy. That seems a lot harder to mess up. I mean, obviously, you could go wrong. You could use stones that are too small or weak, or, if you don't build the foundation of the wall, that's something to watch out for. But with the deck, there were way too many, precise measurements that we would need to take. And all the beams would need to align perfectly. And we would need to have, the right kind of tools to actually, because we tried a little bit just putting some nails into pieces. It is surprisingly hard to get nails that are long enough to, hold multiple pieces of wood together to actually go through wood. Because if you're just using a hammer, what we found was a lot of the time you're hitting the nail and the nail ends up bending. And then it does, and then it's bent and it's ruined and it doesn't want to go in straight. It's almost impossible to get it back in. And we would have been doing hundreds of these nails, and we could barely get in like 3 or 4 into a couple of things that we were working on. And so we just realized, sure, we could have invested in a nail gun, and obviously maybe we could have improved our technique and been hammering those nails a little bit better, but it was not for us, we realized. And the precise measurements, everything would have had to line up perfectly. Otherwise, the deck would look messed up at the end. And when you're working with wood like that, you can't really undo it or redo it without, you've wasted those materials. You've already nailed them together. You've put holes into them. And, depending on how far along in the process you've got to start from scratch and deconstruct what you did. When you're working with stones and that kind of stuff, we're not going to be putting these together with any kind of mortar or anything like that. They have little lips that should hold them to each other. And so, even if we did mess up, we could always just take the stones back apart and redo it. And, no materials are really ever being used. They're being utilized, but they're never being fully spent and destroyed to build this final product. So it just seemed like the safer option to us. And it seemed like something that would really stand the test of time, because I remember when we put in that deck that was destroyed. I was a kid, really young, but still, it wasn't that long ago. Like, it was well within my lifetime. And I just thought about it and I was like, why would we do something that's not going to last that long, right? I mean, when you put stones on the ground. There are stones that have been in the ground for 100 years and they're still standing strong. So as long as we do it reasonably well, this should last hopefully a lifetime. We'll see. But I have really enjoyed, I enjoyed taking the deck apart, but I'm enjoying the process of building the patio more, because taking the deck apart, while it was something that had to happen, it's not the same as actually building something. There is something very satisfying about building an end product. And I was doing this today thinking about, well, what would I like to do, over the course of my life? Just kind of looking forward, imagining, I'm imagining things go well with my business, that I can, most of the work ends up getting outsourced to either managers or marketing teams, just dream picture in the future, right? Got a source of passive income coming in from business and investments. What do I actually do with the day? I was thinking about that. And I think that what would be very satisfying to me, obviously there's raising kids and, spending time with family and friends, but that only takes up so much of the day, right? Kids go to school, family and friends might be working on their own things. They might be, they're not available to hang out all the time. And I don't even know if I would want to do that, 24/7, just all day. So what do I want to do when I'm on my own? I was thinking about. And, there's obvious things that seem enjoyable, like, well, you'll have a lot of time to just relax and you could just, go around and you could, a lot of people, I imagine, if they did find themselves in that situation, or if they ever find themselves with a bunch of extra time on their hands, they'll either watch movies, TV, they'll play video games, they'll do that kind of stuff, after they've, exhausted time spending, spending time with people. If they're on their own, they might do that kind of stuff. They might spend time on their phone watching YouTube or TikTok. And, I'm sure I'll spend some time doing that stuff. That is enjoyable stuff. But what would really make up the bulk of my day? I'm thinking about this in a dream scenario where work has, maybe I spend some time, like an hour or two a day on work, but, there's only so much you can do at a certain point, to maintain the quality of life that I want. Obviously, I could go down the route of just becoming a workaholic and just trying to amass obscene amounts of money. But, I think past a certain point, once you have a couple million, is having more money really doing anything for you? I don't know. If you want a private island, then yes, but I don't necessarily want a private island. I don't know if I want to get to that point. I'm thinking more so in terms of, I make it to a point where I've got a comfortable living coming in off of not a ton of time spent each day. And maybe we never get to that point. But I like to think that it's possible. And I like to think that not only is it possible, it could be coming in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that's feasible with the way things are going. We'll have to see. And, at that time, maybe things will change and I'll decide, no, I actually do want to spend more hours each day working. Like, I want to spend 8 hours a day working on, this business, even though I don't have to, even though it's making plenty. And maybe that will be the case, but I'm thinking more so in terms of my current mindset. What would I want to do? And one thing that I was thinking would be fun is to take up some kind of trade, you could call it. Not like being an electrician or a plumber, but more so like being a woodworker and just learning how to make wooden objects. Like, I could make my own coffee table and, make a really nice dinner table, or, a nice dresser or something like that. It seems kind of fun. I have a friend who does that, and he seems to enjoy it quite a bit. And it does seem very fulfilling, because if I'm getting any knowledge from working on this patio, it's that I enjoy working on things that directly improve my life. And, a lot of people, and that's why I do currently enjoy working on the business that I'm working on, because I feel that by working on it, I am directly improving my life. I'm going to have more income coming in. I'm going to be able to do more things. I'm going to have access to maybe people that are a little bit higher up in terms of wealth, because maybe we'll need to do some business dealings or something. And that sounds fun. But once it's making a certain amount of money, the actual direct impact that doing more work on that company would have for my life would kind of start to fall off a little bit, right? Because I can only spend so much money. I only want to spend so much money, and it doesn't actually make that much of a difference if I have more at that point, right? It would just be a bigger number in a bank account. And so working on something like that seems less satisfying to me than working on something like, like the woodworking projects I was talking about, like building that kind of stuff, or, doing home improvement things like replacing a kitchen floor, countertops, or redoing a bathroom, and having an actual noticeable impact on your day to day. And obviously you could just spend money and have someone else do it, but that kind of takes some of the fun away from it, in my opinion. And without a doubt, the work that the professionals are doing, it's absolutely better than the work that I'm doing. I am in no way a professional. My work is shoddy. It is not good. But I do enjoy what I've done more than what the professionals have done, in a way. Like one of the things I did was I built a fire pit in the backyard. It was really easy. I mean, there was nothing to it. It was literally just moving some sand and flattening an area and putting, some stones on it, basically, like, a ring of stones. But it's still just like a very satisfying thing to see and to know that I built it. More so than it's more satisfying to look at that, in my opinion, than to look at, the house. That even though the house itself is so much more impressive because it was built by, a huge group of construction workers and they really knew what they were doing. The fire pit holds more appeal to me. Obviously, if I could only choose one to exist, I would choose the house because that's where I live. But the fire pit holds a more substantial place in my heart because I built it myself. And so I feel like if I were to continue doing that kind of stuff, I mean, in a way, I'm kind of doing that right now with these videos. I'm kind of, I'm making these videos, and even though I could in the future, I haven't really watched any of these videos back, but I'm sure that at some point, maybe it's a year down the line, maybe it's 5 years down the line, I'm sure that at some point I'll watch some of them back, and they'll be a lot more satisfying to me in a way than watching, the best movie of the year, because I made them. And so, this is something that I want to continue doing. I enjoy this. I mean, this doesn't actually take up a part of my day. I'm driving to the gym no matter what. So I can either record these or I can listen to music, and there's already plenty of time to listen to music or a podcast. I like to listen to podcasts typically, but sometimes, going to the gym, it's nice to have some music to hype you up. But I'll definitely continue doing this. I do really enjoy these, even though, they are as haggard as it gets. Like, this is the lowest quality that you could possibly get. I mean, using modern technology. Like, I've just got my phone selfie camera pointed at me in one of those GPS holders that, holds your phone while it has GPS directions, just sitting on my dashboard. And, there's no mic or anything. It's just straight from the phone. And, maybe I should invest in a mic. It's like $20 and I could get something. But I don't know. Part of me doesn't want to complicate things. The other part of me thinks it might be worthwhile to just have the higher quality audio, because I know this car is noisy and it might be nice to have the microphone a little bit closer to my mouth so that Because while I'm actually doing these, it may not sound like it to you guys, but I'm actually kind of yelling. Like I'm talking way louder than I would under any other circumstance. This is very loud talking for me. And it kind of hurts my throat a little bit by the end of it once I've been doing it for like 15 minutes, but you know, I power through. It's getting easier as I do it more, so maybe I should keep it this way. It might be a good vocal exercise. And I'm really not sure why anyone watches these, by the way. I am honestly recording these as a personal journal for my future self. But I do see people watching, so I appreciate you guys, whoever you are out there. I appreciate you guys. It's fun to see that people are watching. And to see your comments especially is really cool. So I appreciate y'all. And we're getting pretty close to the gym, so I'm gonna park and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.